Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the October 14th, 2021 EAC meeting. This one I think is completely Zoom, although it was supposed to be hybrid. All right, whoever joins in at this point will catch them up. All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion to get this meeting started.
Second.
Cool. All right, thank you. All right, so the meeting is live. I'm assuming everyone got through the minutes.
Yep.
And like no comments. Correct.
We need Alan.
There.
Alan's the one that finds all the stuff.
Yeah, he gave me so he always gives me the minutes. So other than him, yeah, I think we're good on the minutes. All right, so do we hear a motion? Do I hear a motion to approve the September 9th, 2021 minutes?
I make a motion.
Oh, wait, we only have 3 people here though.
No, we have
you have
4.
four.
Sunia's here.
Well, why? I can't see her though.
Oh, but she's here.
There.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
put my video on yet.
Oh, and
Oh,
look, we have Kevin. Like that, we have magic.
Oh,
all right. We have Kevin now too, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, so, okay, just in time. So Kevin, we have one motion to approve the September 9th, 2021 minutes, and I'm just waiting for a second.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. All right. I will get them out to everybody final tomorrow. All right. Where are we? Tree ordinances. So Jim Bray and Jim Majewski and I have been working on native tree ordinances and native trees, shrubs, everything, plants. We met once, maybe about a month ago. We're going to meet again next Thursday to go over additions, subtractions, discussions, and hopefully have something to present in this November meeting on what the draft final, I guess is what you want to call it, list would consist of.
And Linda, you're adding.
Point, what's this?
You're adding to that, right? I believe something.
We are
some language
adding,
about invasives.
So I gave him some language on invasives. We're going to bring it up again in the meeting. He wanted it to be a little more in depth. So I think he was going to work on the ordinance. I just gave some definitions and some background. I think he's going to work on the ordinance, like the official ordinance wording. So we'll talk about that also. And I'm not sure if that will be available by the November meeting. But if it is, we'll provide that also for everyone to look at, comment on. Obviously, everything will be draft until it's voted upon. But we just wanted to keep everybody kind of in the loop on what's going on. So we are trying to work this through and hopefully get this somewhat resolved by, I don't know if it'll happen the end of this year, but at least early November or early 2022. So
Yeah, I think the November date to have everybody review what we've done is very realistic. We have, it's still a work in progress, but we've made considerable additions to both the flowering tree list as well as considerable additions to the flowering shrub list as well. And, it's actually been a lot of work compiling that kind of stuff, but, we're making good headway. We're just about finished, with the list. And I think the meeting next week with Jim and Linda and myself is going to be, very worthwhile. And I'm literally almost 100% sure we'll have something for the November meeting for everybody to look at.
Yeah, even if it's something that everyone can kind of look at, make some comments, and we can move forward. We want to get this thing pushed through as quickly as we can, but try not to miss things, obviously. So, we're working on it.
Yeah, just one other comment. I'm actually becoming a decent typist because Linda can't read my handwriting. So I've been the one typing a lot of these Latin terms, and all of them are going through my head, half the day. But anyway, it's getting done. So And
You couldn't even read your own writing, you told me.
well, actually, I'm not sure I want to share that with the group, but that's what happened when I was trying to transcribe them. You know, my I's and E's and A's and O's, they kind of look the same. But I did it with a minimum number of mistakes, I think.
Yep. So between the two of us, we got a lot of it done. So we'll see how it goes through talking with Jim. All right. I guess does anyone have anything else regarding tree ordinance, invasive species ordinance, anything like that?
Nope.
Take that as a no. Okay. All right. Update on the tree planting. So we are set for October 23rd. I'm going to contact the nursery to have the trees and shrubs delivered to Patterson on Friday, October 22nd in the morning, probably around 8 o'clock. If anyone else is interested in helping me unload 400 plus trees and shrubs, come on out. And we'll somebody from Monica's group and somebody from Greg's group is going to be there to go through where we're going, like where holes need to be dug and all of that. So this way we're all set to get started at 9 o'clock on Saturday, the 23rd.
Yeah, let me know, Linda. I wake up at 5 nowadays with high school, so I think I think I can help out this time.
Okay,
So
yeah,
just keep us in the loop as you plan.
I'll be there at 8 o'clock, parked on the other side where the mulch gets staged. I figure we'll just put everything there. So whenever you show up, we'll be there. It should take, I'm not sure how many people are coming from Parks and Rec and from Public Works. So it should take a little while. But
Okay,
we'll be
so
there.
8 o'clock. Otherwise, if there's
8
any
o'clock.
change in plan, let us know.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. So, and then, so that's that.
Linda, is there a sign up Genius for volunteers?
There is, you're signed up.
Yeah.
But if you go to lmt.org,
Okay.
you'll actually see a cute little picture of people like around trees. We're trying to make the icons a little bit more reflective of what they represent. And so if you click on that, it'll take you to the sign up.
Yeah, I'm
So
pretty sure
Linda
you're
sent
signed
out
up
an
though,
email.
Kevin.
All right.
I thought I saw your name.
Yeah, Linda sent an email. If you look for an email from her, she has sent it out.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago, I think, but I don't think we necessarily need to sign up. We're fine. I think it's the rest of the public that needs to sign up.
And we do need more volunteers. The last time I checked in, we had about 36. So for those watching at home,
Please,
come along and
please
make a
help. It's
memory.
a lot of fun. We don't have to dig holes. We just have to put trees in holes and put dirt around it. It'll be fun.
Are we offering any brownies and things?
I have to talk to Monica about that. I don't know what we're allowed to offer in terms of food. I know last year we had definitely water. Yes, definitely that. I'm not sure. I think she's going to try and do prepackaged stuff. So I'll double check with her. But yeah, the only thing that people have to bring are their own gloves,
Shovels.
shovels, their own rakes if they want to do that, but that's about it. Other than that, we'll have everything else there. And then, okay, so the update on Twig Lane and Revere Road. Both of those sites are getting planted on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, the 19th and the 20th. I forget which is which, but those two sites will be planted and completely done. So by the end of next week, we will have 3 sites planted.
Wow.
All right, who's actually doing that planning, Linda?
Shoot.
I can't remember either, but it's
I know the guy's name is Ken. I can't remember what the company is. I know that. So Greg, Public Works put out bids, and I think it's Ken's Lawn Service.
that sounds right.
Yeah, don't quote me. I can't remember exactly, but it's something like that.
All right, is there going to be anybody there from LMT to monitor the process? You know, tree
Greg,
have to be
Yes.
planted in a
Greg
certain
will-
way.
Greg will be there. I can only be there on Tuesday and off. Wednesday, I'm actually out of the area for work. So if you want to show up on Wednesday, but, so I'm hoping after being there on Tuesday, they'll kind of have an idea of what they need to do.
Okay. And Linda, I'll talk to you after the meeting too. Maybe I can squeeze in some time and get down there as well.
Okay. I have to find out exactly what time they're starting. I'm not 100% sure. So I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
Sure. All right, so that's that. Alan, you're up for land use.
All right. We've got 3 projects listed, all before the zoning board, and 2 of them are repeats. There's the deck minor subdivision at Schoolhouse Lane and Woodland Drive. That's been going on for months and months. They want to schedule a special meeting, which would be devoted just to this project, and they're having trouble finding a date agreeable to everybody. So that's to be determined. The Jennings lot subdivision, they are scheduled to go before the zoning board on October 19th. They've already been before the zoning board once. And did everybody see that letter we were thinking about sending to the supervisors stating our opposition to it? The supervisors voted to oppose this, and we just want to reiterate why we think they should oppose it. I sent out a draft letter. I am going to modify it slightly. I want to put it in terms of allowable number of units on the property, not so much in terms of acreage, because I think that's probably more understandable. And also, I'm going to reference the Lower Makefield Township Master Plan update, because that sentence in the second paragraph I took right out of the master plan, that this zoning designation is for the protection of the township's floodplain and wooded areas located along the river and Delaware Canal, because I think that's appropriate. So I was going to make that change. I can send it out to everybody again, the draft, or just go ahead and send it to the supervisors. It's going to have the same argument that they're trying to build too many units on this property. The 2 units go way above the ordinance. What's
Yeah,
permitted.
Alan, I read your original, and I think, as usual, it was a good job. And, you know, as long as you're saying there's no substantive changes, I'm fine with you just making those minor corrections and then sending it out. I can't.
Yeah,
it's
the same argument. So just in
Do
terms
we, just to be nitpicky, do we need to like vote on this or not? I mean, I'm good with the letter too.
we can vote. I love voting.
I don't know. I don't know. If
Yes,
or not.
yes, you should vote
Okay.
on it.
Okay, so we should vote on it. Okay, all right, so, does, I guess,
I make a
Do we
motion to approve the letter.
thank you,
With the proposed amendments as
with the
discussed.
proposed amendments.
I second it.
All right.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded it?
All right. It shall be done. I'll probably send it out in the next day or 2.
Passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you for doing that.
Okay, and the last one is the new one. It's the Bucks County Smiles Dentistry Office Building.
Sorry, I just want to intervene. I don't know if this matters. I abstained because I don't feel that I understand the Jennings lot subdivision well enough to vote. But I don't think that should change the outcome particularly. Just not
No,
unanimous.
but thank you for pointing that out, Jonah.
Sure.
All right, the Smiles Dentistry Office, it's at Oxford Valley Road and Dobry Road, the intersection there. Right now, there's a small house on the property. It's a corner lot. And across from that is the Caddis Healthcare building, the brand new one. That's right across the street. And they want to tear down the house and put up a dentistry office, a 2-story dentistry office with, I believe, 70 parking spots. And they want variances from our wetlands buffer requirement and our woodlands protection. That instead of leaving 30% or cutting down 30% of the woods, they want to cut down like 70%. But they're still adjusting their plan, so it might turn out a little better. I know they're talking to Jim Majewski, but whatever they come up with will be before the zoning board on November 16th, and I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and when will we actually, well, have a chance to review until their plans are final, I guess, right?
If the zoning board approves the variances, then they'll submit a preliminary plan to the township with, all the details, and we'll review that. That's when we'll get a chance to submit an official comment letter.
Yeah, well, actually, on the surface, though, when you're going from 30% to 70%, it would probably be nice for some of these developers to know that our ordinances are not suggestions, okay? That we have these percentages for good environmental reasons. I mean, that's on the surface, that's really ridiculous.
So, well, hopefully they're adjusting that. That was in their initial submittal. So we'll see on November, what is it, 17th or 19th, whenever it is. Oh, the 16th, on November 16th. So stay tuned.
Don't they have to give us money for the trees they don't replace?
If they get to that point, yes, but that's down the line. They first have to get these variances approved, then they have to submit a preliminary plan to the township, get that approved by the supervisors, then submit a final plan, and get that approved, and then we calculate the tree fee.
What about pervious pavement and catchment basement problems?
They don't need variance requests for those, so they haven't really detailed what they're going to do at this
That's
point.
usually what all these developers always ask for. They want variances from the setbacks, pervious pavement,
Right.
The tree ordinance, and everything else they seem to want.
Yeah, well, they are. I don't believe they're asking for the impervious pavement exceedance from the zoning rule. And the replacement tree is not a zoning issue. It's in the subdivision saldo. So that's a waiver, and the supervisors deal with that.
And is it zoned for commercial as opposed to residential? Because they're tearing down a house?
I believe it is.
Or is this another overlay? Oh my God.
No overlay. So that's it as far as land review.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go into recycling, but right now we're only gonna go into maybe half of recycling until Monica comes on to do the other half of recycling. So the styrofoam event went very well. How much did we end up getting? Besides a lot?
I don't know, a lot of those bags that we have photos we can send out.
Yeah, we literally covered the whole front of the administration building.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we still gave away probably 24 to the Stray Cat Project.
Yeah. We got 35 pounds of corks. So I sent those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Could someone send me pictures so I could put it in the newsletter?
Sure. I'll send them photos.
Ellen,
How many
is there a way
medicine
that we
bottles
can...
did we get? How many medicine bottles did we get?
I don't know. Sumya, you know? Well,
I think Sumya has disappeared,
okay.
perhaps
I
temporarily.
would say there was about 40 or 50 of them, just me looking in the container.
Ellen, is there a way that we can find out how much styrofoam we've collected over the past few events?
I could ask Mark if he has any
All right.
idea, because he takes it in. Mark
All right, if
Wortman.
you can let me know just for the end of year report.
Oh, yeah. All right. And it wouldn't be it seems like cubic feet would be a better measurement than weight because it's so light. I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that weight would hold up much.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I need to contact Mark about the next one. Looking at the calendar, how's everybody with having another one on January 8th? That's the second Saturday in January. The first Saturday is the 1st, and that's probably not a good idea to have it on.
No.
No.
No, I think the 8th is, I think the 8th is an excellent date because people still have the stuff from Christmas. And January 1st obviously doesn't work for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, and January 8th wouldn't be too, like, hard for people to hold on to it.
Right. So I'm going to check with Mark to make sure he's good with that date. And we were thinking maybe adding printer cartridges to our collection, because there's a place you can send those. If you have 20 pounds, you can send them for free too. So
Okay.
think about that. I'm sure, Suzanne, you must have a lot of used printer cartridges while you're printing at home.
Allowed to print.
Huh?
We're not allowed to print. We're
You're
my
not allowed-
company.
No?
Nope.
Well, I have
But
a
I
lot
think
of,
it's a great idea,
yeah,
and
I
I
have.
support printing. I wish I could print.
okay. All right, so everybody start saving their printer cartridges, and maybe we can do that. We'll decide next meeting when we have a firm date and Mark Portman's on board with it. And is there anything else we want to collect?
What about batteries?
Batteries, light bulbs. I could handle that.
Really, you want to do the batteries?
Yeah.
You do light bulbs too?
Yeah, there's batteries and bulbs sometimes takes light bulbs. And then there's a store I shop at that accepts alkaline batteries.
Okay, will they accept a lot of them? Just want to make sure.
I go there every few weeks, so I'll just bring them in drips and drabs.
Okay, well, yeah, you might want to double check. And if you bring, 60, 70 pounds, make sure they're okay with that, because that's probably what we'll get,
Yeah.
at least. Their batteries are heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, so check that out, and maybe we'll add that. Decide November.
We're gonna hold off on talking about the containers until Monica comes on. I guess we'll go into the plastic bag reduction. Any update on that stuff, Jonah?
Yes, thank you very much, Linda. I, at the end of our last meeting, after I had presented a few different ordinances, or in New Jersey's case, more of a legislation, in Philadelphia's case, more of an ordinance, that had passed regarding single-use plastic bag reduction. We had discussed, Chair Blundy had recommended that, so as not to create a situation where Lower Makefield is alone in establishing this norm where we have reduced single-use plastic bag usage, that we turn towards the county and towards the state for passing this legislation. I contacted State Senator Steve Santarciera's office and was happy to hear that he is co-sponsoring a single-use plastic bag usage reduction bill in the state Senate. With that, I was also a little displeased to understand the reality that the state Senate, of course, is largely populated by folks who will not be interested in passing this, just given the current balance of the state Senate. And I contacted Representative Perry Warren's office as well to see if this would be able to come to the state house in some way. I believe I'm still waiting to hear from his office, and that may be a fault of mine due to a communication error, and I will try reaching out again if I don't hear back by Monday. I contacted an assistant to Bob Harvey of the Bucks County Commission, and I spoke with his assistant, Stephen Seifert, I think is the way to pronounce his last name.
Suford.
Sufert. Thank you so much,
Sufert.
Paul. And I hope that I misunderstood what Stephen shared with me, but if I understood correctly, it seemed that he was hesitant to explore passing anything at a county level, in as much as he senses that what the county does would not really be able to legislate what we would be hoping for. And I didn't fully understand the distinction that he was making between the county could make a proclamation, which I know is not law. The county could make a mandate, which presumably is some degree of legal enforceability. And the county could also make an ordinance, which to me sounds legally enforceable. But he said that in as much as this wouldn't be legislation as would be deemed from the state level, that this would be something that should be happening either at the municipal level or at the state level. I want to contact the county office again to gain a little more clarity on that. And perhaps if I speak with another person from the county office, I might be able to get a different sort of response. That being said, I do think that there's wisdom in reaching out to other municipalities to see if we can get multiple municipalities to form a coalition isn't quite the right word, but some sort of cross-municipality partnership in trying to pass this sort of ordinance across multiple townships, such that we can have a general culture of single-use plastic bag reduced within the county. And I've taken the liberty of trying to find the contact information for different members of EACs across the county. And I spoke with Kevin and Alan and Jean about this previously, just because I've been in touch with them about other communications over the course of the week. And they have felt comfortable with my CCing them in reference to furthering this communication and reaching out to partnering EACs in other townships. I'm wondering if there are other folks from our EAC who would feel comfortable with my including them on these email communications.
Certainly.
Sure.
Thanks, Paul. And
The other
Linda,
thing-
was that you saying sure?
The other thing you should touch base with, if you haven't already, there's a statewide EAC network, and put out a query to them.
Sure, Paul, offline, maybe you
Yeah,
and I
I'll
can
send it
discuss
to
those
you.
details.
Yeah.
I haven't had success with that yet, but I'd love to pursue that.
Jonah, you can add my name as well, okay?
And
Sure,
my
thanks,
name,
Jim.
Jonah.
Sure. So Alan, Paul, Kevin, Linda, did you say yes? There was a
Yes.
quiet yes. Okay, that was you.
No, yes, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and you can send it to me too. I think it's good to be in the loop.
Sure. Thanks, Sumya. And Chair Blundy, would you like to be included or excluded, or you don't have a preference on those communications?
It never would be excluded, but you guys should proceed as you guys. Right?
Okay.
I'm just like your liaison, and then I'll
Sure.
catch.
Sure. Thanks so much, Chair Blundy.
And as you can tell, my light bulbs are out, so soon I'll just be a glowing face.
Well, you'll have something to bring to the next recycling event, hopefully. Very good. I know that Monica is scheduled to speak at 6:30, and we're
Yeah, she is
reaching
here.
that
I mean,
point.
if you have other things that you want to update, that's fine.
That is all for now. I'm going to be reaching out to more municipal EACs, and I'll be CCing the committee. And also, I just want to say, Monica, thank you very much for creating this presentation you're going to present tonight. I was very impressed by the quick turnaround of integrating some of the findings that I had found. So thank you.
Okay. So now we're all about making things happen here at Park and Rec.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so with that, Monica Tierney is going to present the zero waste plan, the draft zero waste plan that she has that Parks and Recs have put together. Monica, I'll leave that to you.
I'm just going to share my screen. I made some slides for the Park and Rec Board, so I figure I will share that with you also. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble making it a presentation. There we go. So I was shocked when you guys did the evaluation of the parks and how many recycle bins. I mean, it was actually quite disappointing. So last meeting, I believe you guys Jonah presented an evaluation of how many recycle bins to trash waste receptacles. And there's a lot of information in it. I won't go through everything because I know Jonah covered it very, pretty clearly during your meeting the other day. But essentially what we found, or what you found, is that we have 12 waste receptacles to every one waste bin, or 12 waste receptacles to every one recycle bin in the parks, which was shocking to me and disappointing at the same time. So clearly there's a reason we have to address this. And I think a zero waste plan is a way to go. So we started to go through this, and this is very drafty right now. I think there are some things that we need to include to make it a complete plan. But I wanted to start somewhere, and I figure we can all work together to make something very nice. Another thing for me, it was the varying receptacles. We have so many different types of receptacles: brown with crisscross, brown with checkers, different blue bins, different. So that was another thing that I noticed, and very minimal labeling to the bins that we had in the park. So those were the things that stood out to me. And there are quite a few other things that stood out, but those are the three biggies. So going through this a little bit more, we started to put together a zero waste plan. And as part of that, we looked at the whole history of the township, starting with the recycling movement, in the 80s, 90s, and that where we are today. And I think, we do a lot of things great in this township, but clearly after this evaluation, we need to do better in the parks. So that's kind of what drove us to create this plan. So the goals would be to create a recycling opportunity for every waste receptacle, align the plan with the ADA transition plan, which, there were a lot of trash can placement issues within when we reviewed accessibility in the parks. Develop a plan for special events or requirements for special events, and develop a way to measure the success of the program, and then also come up with a way to educate the community and the staff. And some of that I'll go over today, some ideas that myself and the staff have had over the past few days while we were talking about this. In order to get started, you guys, you already completed the receptacle inventory, which was fantastic. Another thing that we'll have to do, and I would love to have the EAC's help on, is identifying layouts for the waste receptacles for both in season and out of season, that I can give to the staff and say, this is what we want. This is where we want receptacles to be. This is where it will be the easiest for people to access. And if it just maybe even Google Earth and we place them, then we could also determine how many we need in all. And I also identify some barriers, but that always can be up for review, and defined funding. Some of the things that we may need funding for, and some of the things that I suggest in here, is possibly getting matching unified looking waste bins throughout the park. So I know you've been talking about stickering bins that we currently have, but over time, it'd be nice to be able to create a unified look and feel. So when you go into a Lower Makefield Township park, you know how to recycle, you know where to put your trash. It's always the same. And it's convenient and obvious. So that's something that we're looking at. So this is not necessarily what I'm recommending, but just a nice picture of a package deal. And just to let you know, like something like this, where there's the 3 cans that are decent size for parks, that's about $1,500. So we're talking every like station that we make would be about a $1,500 station. So I called this I'm sorry, I have a limited time today, so I'm trying to make my way through my slides. So when we were talking about this, we were talking a lot in the office about nudge campaigns, and nudge campaigns are a way to make things, better behavior, easier for people to participate and more obvious for people to participate. An example of a nudge campaign would be a campaign in a hotel where it might say in your room next to the towels, 98% of our visitors reuse their towels. And then you see that and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll reuse my towels while I'm here, you know, so I can help. So you're motivated. So with that idea in mind, we came up with the Susie Recycles campaign. And I know we have a Suzanne Blundy in the audience, and that's not where I got the name. I think of her as Suzanne. Not
I do recycle.
So there you go. But it wasn't supposed to be a Suzanne reference, but I recognize it now as a a little coincidence. But we called it the Susie Recycle campaign. The idea here would be to maybe get participants from all the different leagues within the different parks, get a PAA baseball player recycling in the park, a picture of them, and say, Bobby recycles, how about you? And put those pictures around the baseball fields, and maybe get a YMS player recycling and put it around Makefield Park and say, you know, Susie recycles, how about you? And it's a very nice visual of people in our community, people that they might know and relate to, doing what we want people to do. So that would be a great nudge campaign. Other nudge opportunities are making the trash and recycle cans very obvious and very accessible. So that's where, you know, you want to have at least one recycle bin for a trash can. And I know that you've all talked about this before, but I think at least working to get 1-to-1 ratio to start would be a great way to educate or get it out there for the community. And then providing education for the staff. I believe Linda had mentioned to me that there was some stickering going on in the parks, which is great, but I didn't know it was happening. So I never told my staff about it. So I'm not sure that they were actually recycling the bin. So it's very important that, first of all, I'm in the loop with what is going on in the parks. And second of all, that my staff is also in the loop with what's going on in the parks to make sure that they're doing things properly too. So it's very important to educate the staff. Some of the barriers that were obvious to us is we do receive contamination charges. In the plan that I had put together, it talks a little bit about, you know, China no longer taking imports and how it affects us down the line. And I'm not going to get too much into that now, but it's very interesting how it really affects, it trickles down to the local communities when it comes to recycling like this. So we do get contamination charges for every time Waste Management picks up our trash. They have cameras on the back of their trucks that watch the trash or the recycles being dropped into the bin. If they see any plastic bags or anything like that, we get a charge for that. It's menial, but they add up. And if we really are digging into recycling, it seems like we might have more of those. Secondly is manpower. With recycling and sorting and making sure that, you know, we're having less contamination, there's a lot more requirement on my staff. So I just want to make sure that we clarify how we're going to do this successfully with the staff, and is the EAC going to help, or are we going to work on getting some kind of volunteer committee together or something that might be able to help with the process. And again, the cost of, you know, marketing and purchasing recycle and waste bins. There's always a cost associated with that, especially once we define how many bin sites that we need. We'll really be able to fine tune how much we're going to need. And then how are we going to educate the community other than nudge campaigns? What else can we do to help educate the community and staff about what is needed? I was talking a little bit to Linda the other day about how great in the 90s the recycling education and sorting was. And then as we moved into like the 2000s, we're combining everything, and then everybody got a little bit mixed up about what goes where, and that's where more contamination happens. So it'd be really great to kind of increase the kind of education, just like we did in the 90s. Just go back to that and trying to get people more on board. And that's all I have. I'm going to end my slides here, but if you have any questions for me, really what I'm asking for you is if you could go through the zero waste plan, if you have any questions or concerns, or we can work together to develop a really nice thought out plan.
Monica, if it's okay, a few questions for you. I mean, first off, that I was just very impressed again by the way that you put this together. I'm wondering when you are thinking about the contamination charges, what strategies have you so far considered for how to tackle that particular barrier? I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about signs that say you will be fined for, contaminating, but I'm just wondering what sort of responses or preventative measures you're anticipating.
I only have very little. I think maybe educational signs on the dumpsters themselves when we're putting the waste in the bins, or finding ways to educate. I don't really have a complete plan for that, to be honest. I'm hoping that maybe the EAC can help with that, but it's hard because when my staff is doing things, they're doing things at such mass quantities. So they're taking, tons of bins. They're not, everything has to be unbagged, and we're doing everything internally ourselves, which makes me feel that they wouldn't have the kind of time they would need to pull out every kind of contaminant that they find. So, and a lot of times when those contaminants are put in with the recycles then don't make it to recycle. They go right into the, waste anyway. So it would be counterproductive for us to not really consider that kind of contamination. So I think education would be huge. Education to our user groups would be huge. Including them in the process would be a great way to do it, and possibly just educational signage, not necessarily lots of words, but lots of pictures, where it makes it very easy for people to make a good choice.
They do this at the Lincoln Financial Field. They first shape the containers like the stuff that's supposed to get in it, but they still have to sort through the trash.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's very labor intensive. They actually open up the bags and sort them on big tables.
Yes, and I'll tell you, Paul, we don't have that kind of.
I know. It's a real dilemma.
Yeah, so
we're seeing what other people have done.
Yeah. I mean, at Lincoln Financial Field, that's a big, giant organization, and we're working on municipal pay here. So,
but even to have signage and education, it still happens. It's still people putting stuff in the wrong bin.
Yeah, I mean, the best we can do is minimize it, I feel.
Yeah, but the slide you showed with those 3 bins, that's how they do it in Europe. The 4th bin they have is like organic, apple cores, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's for apartment buildings, and ordinarily on the street, like you would have, a waste basket. They have it on the street as well as at people's homes and apartment buildings. That's how it's all sorted. It's amazing. I was in Spain and Portugal. It was the same type of bin everywhere you would go.
I think consistency.
I have a few comments.
Sure.
So I think this is a really great, and off the cuff, what I could think of is, again, the stress on education, like you said. So to that end, one is in terms of content. I was wondering whether the messaging should also include reduce and reuse. However you design the messaging, if it could say, stop, did you bring your own water bottle? Do you have to throw this? Something like that. Or did you bring your lunch box? So the things that are commonly thrown. I think water bottles is one sure thing. Like, did you bring your own water bottle? So then you can take it home, that way, so you don't have to throw anything. The other thing is more complicated is, can we weave in composting? It's a separate receptacle for waste, a more complicated thing, but I'm just putting it out there in case some brilliant idea and funding comes and it is possible. The third thing is, if Jonah or you or Paul or anyone knows of a township, municipality, or any person who is recycling guru, we can host a talk, an ESE talk, to give us, it will be a session to brainstorm on what kind of ideas other people are doing. It could be a couple of people, 2-3 people, but if we can look around to see in the neighboring municipalities, if anybody has had success with any one aspect is also fine. And the fourth idea was, in any of the fields where you have a lot of people, where there's a lot of foot traffic and a lot of waste, if we could have a recycling awareness day or a week where we can maybe offer volunteering opportunities to scouts and other groups. It could be church groups or whatever, people who are looking for volunteering opportunities to actually police the stations. So, it could be one field only. This is just to get the message across. In the most popular field, if a couple of people are there at each station and, they communicate to anybody who wants to throw anything, that, this is what the township is trying to do. A couple of 3-4 sentences. So it's like an event, a recycling awareness event. It could be, if it's good, it could be done for a week if it works easily. But we could rope in the kids, all the already organized kids who are looking for volunteering hours and things.
Yes, great idea. Actually, I forgot to mention, Sonia, you made me think about it. There are some future recommendations. So we have a lot to do, I think, like a lot of headway to make. And I think just coming up with 1-to-1 right now is exciting from where we're at now. But for future recommendations, composting was considered because that was something that you evaluated. But it is much more complicated.
So I was just
another thing for reducing and reusing is potentially adding more refillable water stations within the parks. Because I know as a parent, I bring extra water bottles because I know there's no place for me to refill my children's water jugs, so I'll bring extra water bottles. I know other parents are doing it too. And you just try your best, the best you can. But if we could find a way to put more refillable stations in so people are bringing water more frequently.
Yeah, but I think given the current pandemic concerns and infectious disease concerns, I was thinking of the same too. I was thinking that it may not work. It's best if just like we asked people to get gloves and shovels for tree planting, if we say, did you bring your own water bottle to take back home? Something like that might work for the current scenario. So it's, you don't have the problem of contamination.
Well, they have the bottle filler ones that you don't put your mouth on, but you fill your bottle with.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that you can do away with that cost also if the messaging is strong about getting your own stuff.
Monica, can I ask a question? This is Jean. When do you that we should, in the early stages, the plan looks wonderful, but should we be doing something to increase the recycling now, like
fitting the current containers, maybe?
Yeah, and
I think that the fast, least expensive way to start is just similar to what you were saying, stickering and positioning. I think stickering and positioning is huge. But what I also think is, we have a lot of blue bins. Blue bins look like recycling bins. If we have 2 blue bins next to each other, it's less likely. I think that if it's very obvious of one's recycle, one's, down the line.
The
as
black
we
bins.
replace more, that'd be great.
You've got black bins too, so maybe we could use blue for one and black for the other.
I also think that the initial cost, that $1,500 for a pair, this seems incredibly high for me. Maybe the Cadillac lasts for 20 years, but maybe for $300 each, you get something that lasts for 10 years. So I assume, somebody's going to be looking into the cost of these as well, Monica.
Well,
Isn't that a little ironic? We're gonna save money and add to the landfill as we try to
I
recycle.
know.
Right,
We could
right,
always
yeah.
send them to another municipality that isn't doing this, but I think this is more of a long-term plan, like maybe we tackle a piece of a park at a time, to try and get that continuity between the parks, but this is a long-term, this isn't, we're going to be able to buy all these waste receptacles at one time kind of plan. This is gonna take some time to get the parks to this type of scenario. Right now, stickering is great, but I don't think it's ideal.
No, but do you see the EAC? What would you like the EAC to be doing in the, now?
In the meantime, yeah, what are our marching orders?
Well, I'm not giving you any orders, Alan, but I'm just looking for support. I think us having a long-term plan of how we plan to make things even better and stop putting waste into the landfills, that's great. If we can start by stickering and educating, that would be an easy way to get started. But it'd be great to come up with this long-term plan that we put in place so we have goals that I can budget for every year. You know what I mean? It helps me
Monica,
track and move forward.
didn't I hear, or did I imagine that one of the things that you asked that maybe we could start, the EAC could start working on is creating plans of ideally where the bins should be placed in each park?
Yes.
And have an on-season plan and an off-season plan. I think that's the first takeaway we could do. We might even be able to prioritize that MAC should have the most recycle bins that we have,
Right.
just because we know it's football, soccer season, and that would be the best opportunity, I think you guys, is that a fair takeaway? Is step one, would that be helpful, or?
I think that would be very helpful for my staff. I mean, even if that's not, I could implement that now. We can start placing things better now. And I think that'd be a great EAC assignment. And you bring that back, we put it in the long-term plan, that we can determine where we have gaps. I mean, we might not even have enough waste bins to do simply just stickering, one-to-one stickering. So that would be a great start.
All right, in Macclesfield, we'll focus on Macclesfield initially.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and you want comments on?
Yes, if you guys could all, send whatever comments on the document itself to make it a more functional, usable document. That'd be great.
Sorry, on the 18-page the zero waste plan document.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Monica, I have a few thoughts. I'll try to go through them quickly. One thing that I will recommend, and I think you alluded to this, is I very much like when I am somewhere and there is a picture of what goes in each can. And I will say that I'm very familiar, I've spent a lot of time in the Halifax International Airport. I used to live in Halifax, and where there was compost, recycling, and there was paper, there was plastic, and it was garbage. It was just very clear based on just looking at the pictures. And then if there is someone who doesn't speak English and can't read what it says on the sign, it is also helpful for little kids. And so I very highly recommend images. It's clearer for adults too, who don't feel like using the literacy powers in that moment of decision, where does it go? The second piece that I'm thinking about is in the zero waste plan. You reference 4 phases, with phases 3 and phases 4 being about looking into the composting options. I am fully in favor of looking at composting or organics in some way. I just would love for us to set a timeline for when phase 3 or phase 4 should take place. So that way it's not something that ends up falling to the side, because it's from a sustainability perspective, it seems to be critical that we do get there at some point. So I know that phase 2 is sort of a 2-year outlook. Maybe phase 3 should be year 3 and phase 4 year 4. I'm not sure. You will know best what the staff can handle and what to look ahead to. But I want to recommend that sort of time frame. One key component for educating folks, my children don't go to the public school system, so I'm not sure what education may already be happening in Pennsbury, but there may be further, deeper, more ways to partner with the Pennsbury School District in educating our kids about how to handle this. Many adults can be set in their ways. It is critical that adults learn these things too, but very often pressure from kids will trickle down into adults realizing that they have to grow up a bit, or whatever it is that adults will feel when they see the kids doing recycling properly. So I'd like to recommend that. Something that we might want to do to further engage younger populations might be to do some sort of design contests for either the either posters or for what the design might be of the particular receptacles, or what logos might be there. It might be interesting to partner with either AOY or just through the township itself to do some sort of design competitions, whether that be merely visual or architectural as well. I only have 2 more comments. I promise that that's it for what I've got written down right now. But one thought, a 1-to-1 ratio is supremely better than what we have now. And I very much appreciate that goal. My own experience is that I tend to get rid of my recycling at least 3 times the rate of the garbage that I dispose of. Just because recycling involves so many things that don't smush down really easily, that it just builds up faster. So I would recommend maybe more of a 5-to-2 ratio or a 3-to-1 ratio of recycling to trash. And then just finally, just to reiterate what Jean said and perhaps to solidify a bit more, I think that one thing that we could benefit from is identifying more clearly before we hit phase 2, what will the interim plan be, whether it is just labeling or painting or what it is. But I think that we can flesh out that interim stage just a bit more, so that way we can have a plan that can be in action before the beautiful designs come out in 2 years.
Right. Jonah, that's a lot that I have to process.
Sure.
But I really appreciate your feedback. So what I'm going to do is take all of the things that I'm hearing you say. I actually have to go pick up my son.
Sure.
But I'm going to take all of the things, the feedback that you guys have, and you continue the conversation even after I leave. I'll take a look at the video. And then I'll come up with some modifications to the plan based on what you're saying.
Thank you so much, Monica.
Yeah, no,
Monica, thank you.
Monica.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much. It was an excellent presentation.
Yes.
I would like to reinforce the one thing that Jonah alluded to. One of the keys to our effectiveness over the years in the EAC is whenever we work on large projects, we always set up various timelines, especially if the project's in various stages, because then there's a much better outcome as far as getting the whole thing completed. And I think you were basically talking about that anyway. But again, I want to reinforce the fact that this was a lot of work, and you really did a nice job, Monica. Thank you. You and your staff.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I look forward to this project. It became a passion project for me. I really got into it. So thank you for doing the research in the first place. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Please let us know how we can partner with you, Monica.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Mom.
Bye.
All right. On that note, everybody, we literally have 1 minute because there's a meeting right after us. So I guess we're going to end here.
Linda, before we do that, I have one item that I think is really important that we have to discuss. that'll just take a very short period of time.
Okay, but literally we have a minute.
Literally, you're gonna get cut off, so
Yeah,
speak
we're gonna get
rapidly,
cut
James.
off.
Okay, anyway, I would like to nominate Heather Guidis for the 2021 Environmental Stewardship Award
Oh,
of Kona Composting. She's a entrepreneur. She's been doing this for about 2 years. She has 130 customers, 45 of which are in Lower Makefield Township, and she's a Lower Makefield Township resident. So, I mean, that's a quickie. Is everybody in line with that?
Seconded.
Yeah, and
I'm in
Okay,
favor.
then I will, move forward on that and send out any necessary documentation.
Okay, thank you. All right, so real quick, if everybody could get comments over to Monica, I'd appreciate it. And then we'll pick this up next month. If everybody could get the dates for the next 2 months, either to me or to Katie or whoever. Well, actually send them to me first and I'll get through them and get an actual dates to Katie. I'd appreciate it. All right.
Have a good night,
everybody,
Linda.
Thank you for all your time. Have a
Yeah.
good night, everyone. I guess we're officially calling this meeting over.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Thank
There
you,
being no
everyone.
further business. Boo.
yes, there is.
Thanks, everyone.